Welcome to Learning Lab Live. In this case today, we're going to be building a gamified learning experience in arcades, which I know is something a lot of people have been curious about. So excited to kind of show you that. Before we get started, though, just kind of by way of introductions, my name is Joshua Bledgy. I'm a learning solutions engineer here for ELB. And really, what that means for you all is that I spend a lot of my day talking to our various customers and prospective customers about our products and kind of explaining what they do. And so I'm really passionate about kind of showing off our products and the business benefits that they can have for your organization. And so I started Learning Lab Live a few months back, really as an opportunity to provide like once a month the opportunity to get together for some education on our products, some tips and tricks, as well as I run this a little bit differently, as you'll notice. So as we get into this, I really invite you to participate in the chat. Again, make sure it's set to everyone, and kind of work together on that. So I kind of, hope that this is more casual than your typical webinar. Let's talk about a couple of definitions of things because I'm sure we all have kind of different interpretations of what some of this means. And I just want to make sure we're working from a common definition. So these, by the way, are Josh's definitions, Joshua Leggy's definitions. These are not like officially like ELB's particular definition of these things. Just kind of know I'm speaking for myself, but I just like working with common definitions here. So we talked about games, we talked about gamification as kind of two different things, right? And so when we're talking to customers, we kind of mentioned that the train arcade is the games or the game builder, and then arcades as gamification. And what does that mean? How are those two things different from each other? And so the way that I like to define that is a game. So anything that's built with the train arcade, which you'll see examples of those here in just a moment. They're generally going to be like a single activity that a user participates in that can utilize game mechanics to help create an engaging experience. So that's things like, again, gaining points, going through levels, earning badges, those types of things. But they tend to be kind of almost not necessarily one and done, but just a very particular experience that they're going through with that. They're not anything kind of global to them, they're just kind of isolated to that experience. Whereas gamification is much more global and it's basically applying game mechanics to more simple tasks to make said tasks more enjoyable. So enjoyable equals engagement. Yes, thank you, Lee. That's a great comment. Um, and so the nice thing with gamification is it's much more broadly applicable. So it's something that you can apply to more things globally. So even things like your SCORM files, your web-based trainings that you built, or PDFs or images, things like that. It's giving people, points, badges, leaderboards to kind of engage with those things as well. And that's where the arcades system kind of comes into play there. The platform that we have built there comes into place. It lets you add those gamification mechanics to non-game things, which I think is a very valuable, definition to have. So the other question that comes up often with the when we talk about arcades is arcades an LMS or a learning management system? Because I do have like some of my sales team that will say that arcades is like a light LMS. And personally, I think that actually gives more confusion than clarity to the explanation. So just kind of setting up these two things up so we have a common understanding of this. So a learning management system typically is an enterprise system that's designed to track all learner activities for compliance and accountability reasons. So it's where you track, okay, they took their sexual harassment training annually here on this date. It's making sure that everybody completed the training. It's making sure that you're keeping all those records in place for that. And it's generally focused on serving the needs of the organization that's maintaining it. So generally something that sits at a corporate level that's used, across the team to again ensure compliance and encourage things. And so it's really much more focused on the organization covering all their bases, more than it's actually learner focused. I'm open to anybody that wants to disagree with that as well, but that's just the way that I interpret it. Whereas arcades gives a gamification destination within or external from an LMS that allows learners to engage with organization determined training on the learner's own terms, and thereby gaining experience points and badges and other things from that. It's really focused on serving the learner and making their experience more engaging and meaningful. So it's much more focused on the learner taking ownership of their own training and feeling incentivized to do so because of the reward systems and things that are in place within there for you. So some use cases for arcades could be things like onboarding, which is the example that I've actually built out today as an onboarding example. Um, but I've also found the customers that use it for like multi-day workshops and have it be kind of the spot where they'll essentially run a workshop for a couple of hours and then tell everybody, hey, let's go take a break for a couple of hours, go get lunch, whatever it might be. But also there's stuff in the arcade for you to go engage with so that you can continue that engagement with your colleagues that are going through the same workshop. I've also seen it used for sales training. We've actually used it internally for specific sales training on different products and services that ELB has to offer. And I think I meant to say bound there, any time board. I meant bound. Sorry about this, the typo there. But any time bound special program that you might want to run is a really good example of the arcades. Because kind of keep in mind, like these aren't meant to be a global LMS system. These are meant to be much more targeted and kind of special experiences that you can have for your team. So now let's actually get into building an arcade here. So let me go ahead and show you around a an arcade here. So um, that's back in. Here we go. So this is a very simple example here. So again, this is a an arcade that I built to kind of help explain things today. So this is the learner dashboard that whenever the learner logs in, this is what they'll see. So they'll see their progress here in this little widget up at the top. They'll see the global leaderboards. So if there was more people in this arcade, we'd see more options here. In this case, it is just me. So we are just seeing myself here. And so they'll see their name and their little avatar. So like in my case, I'm using a giraffe because that's my favorite animal. I actually thought I was named after a song called Joshua Giraffe for like almost 25 years. Turns out that song came out after I was born. I felt lied to my entire life. But anyways, that's a complete side note, but that's, explains the giraffe avatar there. But there's some other options here for you as well to pick from as part of this. So to kind of represent yourself, because that's kind of a very important thing is that you're representing, some yourself as part of this. You're engaging with it that way as well. Um, but then down here, you actually have all your activities. On the back end, we kind of refer to these as tasks as well. So you'll see kind of that terminology used interchangeably. And right now, what we have here is this little spin to win game, which I have a love-hate relationship with because it sometimes loves me and sometimes hates me. But this shows up once a day for everybody, and the goal here is just to incentivize logging in. So that way, like every day, you can come in here and spin for a little prize that might show up. And let's see if it loves me or hates me today. And it shows not to love me. So it says no prize there, but you see there is the option for like a large prize, small prize. That gives you just extra experience points for just coming in and logging in to the experience and engaging with it. So just a really simple thing there. But the nice thing is, as you complete different things within the arcade, you do unlock these achievements, sometimes referred to as badges. So, like in this case, I unlocked the premium tier for getting a first place score on the leaderboard. So cool. And gold tier for having a top 10 score on the leaderboard. And getting a leaderboard at all, I get a little map. So I got three there. Again, I am competing against myself. So, you know, that makes it a little bit easier. Uh, and Now you notice that that disappeared, so that will come back to me the next day as I log in again. But now I have what's known as a journey as well as three different games here. So I'm going to focus a little bit on showing you a couple of these games real fast, just a couple little mechanics that are here. So within the Train Arcade, which is the game builder side of the product, you're able to build 12 different game types. Now all these vary from what they're going to be able to accomplish for you, and they're going to be kind of varied on how they're built and the questions and things that you're going to throw in there. And most of them are geared towards being a single player type experience to them. So, like you're sending out a link or SCORM package in an LMS, people are coming in and engaging with them and kind of competing against just themselves at this point. But what's added to you as you use the arcades is not only have that ability to just play the game yourself, like you would with, with the link or something like that, but you also get the ability to challenge. Now, granted, I would need another person in this arcade to be able to challenge them. I probably should have added Casey to this so that way I had somebody else in here. But you would be able to select their name from a list here and then send an email basically that challenges, says, hey, this person's challenged you, and you both play the game. Best score wins. Best score takes the points, and you get to, work your way up on the leaderboard because of that. So like that's an additional thing that's added to just the base games that we have within the Train Arcade when you use an arcade. Another thing that's added to this as well is you have this option for a team versus team challenge. Like in this case, the two colors, main colors I used here were teal and blue. So I could say, I want to be on the teal team. And then again, I play the game, and what happens now is rather than just getting a solo score, my entire team that comes in here and plays, it's going to average that score and rank us based off of how we rank against the other team there. So that gives you some different options there beyond just playing the game solo within the arcade. But now let's kind of take that a step further and look at what a journey entails here. So journey, some people may refer to these as a learning path. It's just a way to sequence exercises together. So in this case, I've added 3 different stages to my journey here, and this is an onboarding journey here. And you'll notice as I open this up, there's some different materials in here. So like this one right here at the front, this is a video that all I have to do is, hit play and watch the video here. And it's going to get me through that exercise there, which then unlocks a little e-learning module here. This particular module was built within our tool micro builder, but you can also build it, incorporate things built in like other third-party tools such as Storyline or Rise or things like that. Those all incorporate very well in here. And as I go through that, it was going to unlock the next thing for me, which is going to be a game, which I then have to pass at 80% to um, then go through and complete that exercise for us. So I can't remember all the answers to these questions, so I may not get 80% on the first time out, but just to give you an idea of what this plays like here. Um, this is just an example of one of our games here within the from the Train Arcade. This is a trivia game here. There was some sound effects and things going through here. Maybe I do know all the answers. I don't know. But this is kind of the experience that you'd have is you'd be able to come in here uh, uh, and play these games and get through this experience here. Okay, maybe I'm a little better at this than I thought. I think there's something like 6 or 8 questions in here. Um, uh, this is the one I'm not sure about. Oh, I did get that correct. Um, Sorry, I'm now getting distracted by a game. I'm so sorry as we get through this, but I did want to kind of just show you this experience here. Okay, that one I didn't quite get. Um, and let's see here if this is the last one or not. There we go. So I did get 80%, 88%. So I did pass that. I can go back and play the game again if I want to, or I can just close and go back to the journey. And then it's going to unlock the next phase of this for me, which is just a job aid, which is a PDF, which I will say was generated by AI. So that's why it's kind of formatted weirdly in certain spots. So I'd actually go back and fix that before I actually would make this an actual learning exercise. But you can see it kind of gave me the points there too. So I've added 189 points to my score, and it's unlocked this next one, which um, again is locked down. Now, the nice things we've added recently, and this is actually a recent update of about a month or 2 ago, is now within your journey stages, you can actually let them be more freeform and be able to select the different exercises out of order as well. You just have to complete all of them to unlock the next stage, but you can complete them out of order, which I thought I had set up on that one, but apparently I did not. Well, that gives you another way to surface those activities and kind of incorporate more materials. Because, like I said, gamification is about applying game mechanics to more mundane things, to other things, and that's what we really saw there. Is that those PDFs, the videos, like accessing those, also gained experience points, which then leveled me up here on the leaderboard and unlocked additional achievements there. And I can see all the achievements I've unlocked here within my little dashboard. There's also a little leaderboard here that goes, kind of again shows that global leaderboard, but also based off the different things that you complete, it's going to show you your scores there and how you rank against others too. And then I added this little prize shop here, which I have unlocked a prize, which is really cool. I can go ahead and claim that Amazon gift card that I will never actually see in real life because this is just a demo. But you can give your employees an option to unlock different prizes here as well. Now, keep in mind, that's just a way to surface those prizes. You do have to figure out how to fulfill them yourself, which is why I'm saying I'm never going to see that $5 gift card because no one's going to ever send that to me here. Uh, but it just gives you an example there. So now that we've kind of gone over that overview, I'm sure you're more curious about how do we put this together. So let me go ahead and show you that here. So I'm actually going to go back here to the arcades. So the arcades is part of the Learning Creation Studio, or what we call the studio sometimes for short, which includes all of our different creation applications. So we have the train arcade and arcades as separate tiles here. You technically can switch back from them in the application itself, but you just select that to launch directly into arcades. And so we're going to try to recreate that one I just did. So we'll go ahead and create a new arcade. And by doing so, we'll be asked to give it a name. So we'll just go, onboarding arcade. And today's what, 2-17-26. We'll go ahead and call that there. And that's going to generate a URL for you. So similar to the training arcade itself, all the arcades are either able to be sent out as a link, which you see here, which is again, it can operate externally from an LMS, or it can actually be a SCORM file within the LMS, which you'll actually get to that point in here in just a second. And so you have those two options still. So two ways to authenticate into it. I'm going to go ahead and say direct registration here as my registration type. That's typically what you're going to do in a sense if you don't have SSO turned on. You're going to use that direct registration there, which I'll show you how that works here in just a second. Um, and then SCORM completion, I I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to always complete here. So basically, if you do generate this as a SCORM package, like when's it actually going to register completion? Is it just any sort of activity in it, which is the always complete? Is it, never going to complete? It's just going to stay kind of stagnant or based off of a user level. And I know that might seem a little bit confusing, but again, since this is motivating people within the platform itself, it's not really about measuring compliance on the LMS. And so it just kind of depends on what you need there to see, okay, did people actually access it and are they engaging with it? So that would be a use case for always complete. Or do you want to make sure that people hit a certain level and then that will show you like people are progressing through it. So it just depends on your needs there. All the rest of these settings, I'm not necessarily going to go through. These are just other sorts of feedback and things that might be needed. Like you can restrict, can people go just through the games once a day? So that way people don't sit there and do kind of a data or an XP kind of mining situation where they just go back and play it all the time. And just kind of the email settings and things that you can set there. I am actually going to turn on that restrict XP once per day. I do actually kind of recommend that one, but everything else is somewhat optional there in the settings. So let me go ahead and hit save. And that's going to bring you to the activities. So the activities here are those different tiles that we saw here on the dashboard. So I'm going to add quite a few of those here just to give you an idea of the different options that are available to you as far as what you can add to these as a singular exercise. I'm going to start by adding the games because that's actually the easiest thing here. If you notice, there's this, select an activity option here. This is purely going to grab your activities, and when we add a journey, the journey and missions will show up here as well. But let me go ahead and just kind of add our three little games here real fast. So we'll go ahead and add that one there. Go ahead and add the next one. And we go to phase 2, add that one, onboarding, phase 3. Now, what you'll notice as I add these is there are these other settings that you can come in here and hit. So like, for instance, on this collaboration tools one, I'll go ahead and just kind of look at this one here because it's going to give you like the ability to kind of customize this tile. So by default, it's going to bring in the game tile itself, but you do have the ability to change that out. Like you could even change this background color, which is, this color down here on the tile. So say I wanted to maybe make that, leave it, if I wanted to make it black, I can just put in those zeros or whatever it might be there. So we'll kind of leave that there for now. Hit save. And there's other settings there as well for like if you want to enable the solo play and head-to-head competitions. Do you want to have leaderboards? Do you want to give it a time-bound nature? So do you want to have the activity start on a certain date and end on a certain date? Some of these parameters you can set on the game level themselves too, but this kind of overrides that for the arcade. And do you want to have it be a featured? So what that means with the feature is if you saw that, if you remember oh, I can just pull that up, the progression little widget here, it will actually move that down so it goes across the bottom here and put in a little featured tile there, which actually we might as well um, do that for us here. And we can add some text if we wanted to add a little message with it. Also with this onboarding phase 2 one, I'm actually going to make it a team selection as well. So we'll just call this team name and we'll go ahead and do it as a drop down. We'll just say blue and teal. And this is what will enable that team selection that we saw earlier there too. Now you can add like tags in there, and you can also change permissions here. So like this is going to go to all players, but you do have the option to upload player lists as well of specific groups of people. And so you can segment content to give it to a specific group of people on that list versus just giving it to everybody. I'm not going to throw that in there. Lee, yes, you can import your own images as well. So if you want to use different images for the tiles, you could to kind of customize that a bit further. You can also include images as a task or as an activity as well. So there's that option too if you want to include those. Which is what I'll show you kind of now is, okay, how do we add these a particular thing? The resolution will be listed, I believe, as you hit. So like, I don't know the specifics on that myself, but there is specific resolution that we're looking for. But now we'll add a new task here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. We'll just start with those PDFs real fast. So we'll go ahead and browse for my PDFs. And I do the thing that no one ever recommends you do and puts everything in my downloads folder here. But we go ahead and open that up and we'll just save phase 1 job aid as the name. And we'll go ahead and click save. And again, you get those same kind of customization options here. You can customize the title background. You can give it a timer. You can put it as a featured or whatever you might want to do there. And then again, you can select an image. And I believe it actually tells you right there the um, resolution you're looking for, the size you're looking for from pixel definition there. So go ahead and save that one there. We'll kind of just repeat that process really quick uh, with the other options here. Just really fast, just uploading those other PDFs. So this is going to look, pretty similar to what I just did. I'm just going to quickly upload these here. We're going to go ahead and add the last one, phase 3 job aid. And we're going to select a PDF, browse for it, and we'll go back to phase 3 and add in those. So that's going to be all our PDFs that we need to add. Next, we'll go ahead and add our videos here. And we'll just say phase 1 video for now, which is kind of welcome from the CEO. So maybe I'll actually retitle this welcome from CEO. And we'll go ahead and upload a video here and browse it. Now, keep in mind, like the videos are actually fairly like small in what size that they're looking to upload here. Uh, and so just kind of keep that in mind. I had to run these through a compressor to get them down to the 10-minute megabyte limit there. So just kind of keep in mind those are, relatively small on that upload size there, but I will keep adding a new task to this here. And I can't remember what the next video is about. So I'll go ahead and just browse for that real fast, see if it gives me any indicator here. No, that title's not very helpful. I think it's about collaborative culture. So I'll go ahead and just title that there real fast and go ahead and hit save and add one last task there. And this is going to be like your career journey. And this is going to be the last video that we have here for phase 3. And we're going to go ahead and add that and save that. And I'm going to go ahead and save this now because I've added all these things. I want to make sure everything gets saved. So went ahead and hit that save button down there. Last thing I need to do here for my activities, I'm actually going to upload my SCORM files too. So go ahead and click this here real fast and go underneath each of these and pull in my SCORM file. So this is welcome to our story. So that's what I'll title this. Welcome to our story. And this one, in this case, I actually would probably upload an image. I don't have one currently to do so, so I'll just uh, kind of add that one there as well. I'll go ahead and upload another one here, back to phase 2. And this one's called How We Work Together. So I'll go ahead and add that as my name. How We Work Together. Go ahead and upload that real fast. And now go ahead and upload our last SCORM file, which I can't remember the name of at the moment. Let's see what we got. Your career journey. So we'll go ahead and add that here. And we'll upload that. And hit save. Now what I'll do now is I'll set my registration. Um, which with your registration, there's a couple of things that you'll need to do. I'm doing this so that way I can actually launch and preview my arcade. And so I'm going to do this invitation settings first. So the person that's going to be setting this, which say it's coming from me, you could have that come from whoever you want to. That's why it's an open text field. And same thing with the address here. So I could just say this is coming from info@elblearning.com, and we'll just say ELB. Oh, actually, we'll just call this the fake tech company because that's who this is coming from. We'll go ahead and hit save there. So now the invitation settings set. So now I'll go ahead and invite myself to this. So I'll go ahead and say my first last name there and my email address, and then add that. So what this does now, as I've added myself to this, now note you can upload a whole list as well, so you're not just adding them one by one, is this did send me a um, an invitation. So I will actually go ahead and open up my email, but I'm going to do that over here so that way you don't see my entire inbox. Um, so let me go ahead and just pull that up real fast. So that email looks like this. And so it's going to ask you to accept the invitation that was sent to you. And then it's going to link your account if you have one existing, or it's going to help you set up a new one if you don't. So I'll go ahead and connect that to my existing account. And it's going to give me kind of the default arcade experience. So what's kind of neat if you have this like added to an existing account, it's going to pull in your avatar and your name and everything there already. Um, but on every new arcade, it is going to give you this tutorial. I'll go ahead and exit that. But now you'll notice a couple of things. Number one, this is a very pink and purpley arcade because that is our default color scheme. We'll be fixing that in a second. But you also notice that all my tasks are uploaded here and showing here on my task list. Now, you're probably like, well, that's cool, but Josh, I didn't have some of those in a journey. How do I do that? And that's the next thing that we're going to do. So that way they're not all showing here on the dashboard. So I'll actually go ahead and just minimize that real fast and show you how we do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually go in and disable a few of these things here. So like the videos, I don't necessarily need those on there. PDFs, I don't necessarily need those on there. I'll leave the games and hit save there. Now, what that does when you disable something, go ahead and hold that thing that I minimized up again here. So when you disable something, I'll go ahead and hit refresh here, is it's going to make it not visible here on the activities list. However, it's still part of the arcade. And particularly for SCORM files, that's important. You'll see why in just a second. Oh, we can only see your browser window. Oh, did I not have? Hold on one sec. Let me change my share then, so that way you can see this. Sorry, I thought I had my full screen visible to you. That's my bad. That's probably better now. It makes a little more sense of what I'm talking about. Um, So, before I had all these different tiles out here, and now I only have these three that are going to be there. So let me actually just go ahead and kind of show that to you again. I'm actually just going to go ahead and pull this one in here. Um, so that way we make sure that doesn't happen again. So I'll actually go ahead and enable a few of these things just so you get able all these things here real fast. So that's saved. So I go back to my arcade. You'll see that, okay, now we have all those different tiles that are showing up. We'll go back here real fast and disable all of them. And then I'm back to what you saw just a moment ago to where it now only has those game tiles there. Now we'll go ahead and create our journey here as well. So we'll go ahead and say, okay, here on the journey, we want to create a new one. We'll go ahead and just say onboarding journey. And we'll go ahead and add a new stage here. And we'll just say, welcome as the stage name here. And then we'll add our activities here. Now, this particular one, I'm going to kind of set up as that initial one that we have. Welcome from the CEO. And I'll go ahead and select my type here, and I'll go ahead and upload my file here. Uh, Now, what you'll notice is this is asking you to upload the files again. So kind of keep that in mind if you're creating journeys, is you probably just want to, upload the files, most of the files that you would be using here versus as individual tasks there, because then you'll just be able to enable them all at once with this. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of continue it to our story. So this is going to be my SCORM file. This is going to be kind of the one exception to like uploading external um, activities or these activities here in the journey instead of in the activities list, because in this case, in order to be able to access that SCORM package, you do actually have it uploaded because we bring it in as kind of similar to our game type here. And so if I kind of type in here, I can start finding the SCORM file here and go ahead and insert that. And then I'll go ahead and add my game as well, which I can't remember what the game itself is called. So I'll actually go ahead and find that here and see what I can find here. So this is called Mission and Values. And then we'll add just our job aid. So let's just say job aid here. And we'll go ahead and just upload that PDF here again. So that's there as well. Now, a journey does need multiple stages, so it needs to have at least two stages. So we'll go ahead and add our next one. Now, I'm not going to complete this uh, just because I'm noticing my clock, and I do want to make sure that we get through some of the questions that have popped up in in the Q&A panel first. So I am just going to go ahead and add my SCORM package here, which I believe is called We Work Together. I'll go ahead and bring that in there, and then I'll hit save. Now I'm missing how we work together. And we'll go ahead and hit save there. And that saved my journey there. Now to make that visible to my learners, I'll go back to my activities list. And you'll notice that there's this new option for journeys that appears in this dropdown. I'll go ahead and add that there too. Be sure to hit save and then go back to my dashboard here, and you'll see that that's been added to the dashboard. So that's how you add a journey. That's how you add those activities there. Now, the next thing is on the prizes. There's, I'll show you kind of how to add those as well. First, you have to turn that on. So the pricing system is elective. We're not going to have that on by default for you. You do have to turn that on. Since we know that some organizations will want to use that, some of them won't. But I'll go ahead and create a prize. It's actually fairly simple. I'll just say, Amazon we'll just say, a $5 Amazon card. And we'll say that unlocks at level, we'll say level 2. And you can put limits on these so that like only a certain number can be accessed. So we'll maybe say, 10 there. And then we'll go ahead and add another one that's maybe a, company t-shirt there. And maybe we'll have that unlock at level 5. And we'll give that one a 15 claim there. And so we'll go ahead and hit, enterprise. Let's just say price shop here and hit save. And you'll notice that that's going to be added to our dashboard over here. So you see that there's this option for price shop too. Now, in addition to that, there is something called awards that can be added as well. Now, awards are going to be a little bit different. So prizes are based off the level that's achieved, and they generally are some sort of physical thing that you might need to fulfill on. Whereas when we look at awards, and I'll go ahead and just create one of these real fast for you here. We'll just go ahead and say new award for us here. Won't worry about the description or the tags there. We'll go ahead and say this one is visible. We won't feature it. And we'll make sure that's listed. You pick, what the style is looking here, and we'll just say a major award. If you get the reference, let me know. But a reward for your efforts. And so with awards, they're going to be a kind of a digital thing here. So the intent was to, be able to give you access to things like an external reward system. Um, um, and in this case, no, you can't upload your own images. You're going to pick from the ones available here. Um, but your options here, like you can give out XP within the platform, so additional experience points. So we'll just say maybe 100 here, or you can actually link out to an external award system. So like AwardCo, Motivosity, something, if your company uses any of those, you can link out and give them access to additional rewards in those systems, I think is the intent there. And we'll go ahead and say on this collaborative mission. So, okay, what's going to be the win condition? Like, what do they have to do to achieve this award? In this case, you're going to finish this game, but you're going to get a custom passing percentage. So rather than the normal passing percentage at 80%, they have to get 100% in order to get this additional award. So this gives you something to award people for going above and beyond what they normally would do. And you can also limit it similar to how you limit the prizes. So it's just a much more flexible way to do this. And if you notice as well, this shows up here. This should show up here on the left as well, or maybe it doesn't for some reason. But you should be able to, oh wait, I need to publish it. That's why. So we publish it and now it should be available here. So just a much more flexible system for rewarding certain things within the platform. So that is an option there for you to do so. You can also do something called custom pages, which essentially adds like an iframe section into it that can be accessed from that left-hand menu there. I don't have anything prepared to show you for that, but it's just going to be another option there for you. One other thing that I didn't quite mention as well is journeys are going to give you those multiple stages to compile exercises and do those unlocks and do those achievements. You also do have the option for a mission, which is a single stage, so a single collection of exercises. So it's essentially going to be just, this one set here as a mission versus as a journey here within the platform. Now the last kind of customization thing I'm going to show you here too is going to be how to like retheme this. And so if you notice, this theme right here is again very, pink and purpley there. If I wanted to, I could change it to one of the themes that are, here by default. So go ahead and just hit save there. And it should update this to that new color scheme there. So you do have a couple of different options there, but more importantly, you do have the ability to customize this. And let me see if I can, find my colors real fast here to throw those in here. So I'll go ahead and just type in I636GFI. Is that right? Oh, I did not write that. 6366 F1. Okay, there we go. Um, and then 14BA6. There's supposed to be an 8 right there. Okay, there we go. And my last color here, F59E08. So this should match up with our current things. Now you can also upload a custom background image so that that'll be behind the activity tiles. And you can also add your logo, which will show up in the top left. I don't have anything again for that particular aspect, so I won't be adding that. But you can now see that changing those colors actually changed, the whole style there, so it kind of matches our existing one. Now, the one thing that is different here is because if you know, remember, I did feature one of my games. That's why we see this featured tile here and that progression moved down to the bottom. And so this kind of gives you just a brief idea of how to throw all these together um, very quickly. It does not take very long. Keep in mind, I did have all my content already built out and ready to upload. So that's actually an important step, just to make sure you know how you're going to structure those things, what you're going to be including, which games and things you're going to be throwing in, because that makes it very simple to then go in and build these very quickly. Also, keep in mind with a subscription to the arcades, you do get the ability to build multiple of these, so you don't have to try to do like accommodate every use case into one arcade. So say you're doing something for onboarding, then you're doing something for leadership development or sales training. Those can be separate arcades that have separate content in them that are then sent out to separate groups of people. So kind of keep that in mind as you look at it. So very helpful there. And as well, like something that kind of point out too is okay, I know someone's going to ask about this, but what about like analytics and tracking on this? There is a lot of data that you can track. Let me go ahead and show you one that actually has some of that information in it already so that you get an idea of what this looks like here. So if I click on my demo arcade and go ahead and launch that, oh wait, I don't need to actually get into the arcade itself. But if I go ahead and just set this to all time here, you can see the type of information you're going to pull from this. So you're going to be able to see like people's accuracy, some different top 10 lists, what's their engagement like, and you can kind of twizzle those down a little bit too. So there's a really nice little dashboard going on. But up here at the top, you can actually dive in more and see, okay, each player and how they're going through the arcade, the different activities, how people are scoring on those, the journeys, the missions, and you can actually dive further into like the stages of the missions or the stage of the journeys, as well as the players, and then how they're doing on each stage. So you can actually dive pretty deep and you can actually export all this information. So there's a lot of really good data tracking on the back end of this. So although it's really designed to like engage the learners, you as an organization are still getting that information and are able to use that to make business decisions, which is actually really what I love about this platform is it's really fun and engaging on the front end, but very valuable on the back end as well. And very simple and easy to use, as you kind of see in the last 30 minutes or so that I've been building in this. Now I do want to get to some of the questions here real fast. Okay, oh, quite a few. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up here. Um, can we integrate arcades into SCORM? Yes, it does publish as a SCORM file there, so you're able to do so there. Are the games on mobile friendly through an app or just through the link? So yeah, through the link, they'd be mobile friendly. So the arcades would be, but all the games are as well. They play very well on mobile. Really great experiences there. Can you use a picture to ask questions from with an arrow or label something in a picture? Um, Not directly in the arcade itself, but you might want to look at the recall game. That's part of the train arcade. That one lets you use different images and things. Like you would have to add the arrows to it, but you could ask questions about it through that, or actually even through trivia, some of the others. So like through one of the games, you definitely could. Who determines the prizes awarded? Line of business, designer, your company. Good question. This is one that we get pretty often because a lot of designers and developers don't really want to take on that responsibility of determining those things. So it's typically going to be like your management, your line of business, or your company is going to say, okay, yeah, these are the awards you can give out. Here's the parameters into earning those. And then you'll just build that into the arcade from there. So you definitely want to have some sort of approvals before you go in and build those. Because again, you don't want to put a prize in there that now you're giving out $5 Amazon cards and now someone has to fulfill on those, or else you're just kind of um, doing the opposite of employee engagement at that point. You're kind of disengaging them by not sending them out, making them feel like they've been cheated, which is not great. So you do want to make sure that those are predetermined for you before you put those in. Um, does the arch does the it does not export as an EXX? No, it's going to be a web-based thing. Um, does the Train Arcade work with Lectora? And the same question got asked about Captivate, so I'll kind of answer these two together. So, um, any authoring tool that can take a web object can integrate games from the Train Arcade or the arcade itself, just because it does produce a URL. So we've had success with that in Storyline, Lectora, and I believe Captivate as well. Um, and so it depends on if it can take it, like if you create a web window and embed a web object. For Lectora users, you actually do get an option within Lectora to insert a game, and it's available all the time to you. You just get access to some demo games to kind of experience that feature. Uh, but when you're actually have a license to the Train Arcade as well as a license to Lectora, and you connect the two accounts, there's a couple steps you have to do to connect them. You would be able to insert them directly from the Lectora, like the top navigation toolbar there. So it's much more integrated into that and works seamlessly there. You also get access to a few more variables and things within Lectora that are driven by the games themselves. So, um, so quite a good experience there. And that doesn't happen obviously with like Captivator Storyline to get that kind of enhanced embeddedness there. So, any other questions? Happy to take a couple more minutes, but I'm going to jump over here to my slides again to kind of show you a couple of things that are coming up for us. So, our next yes, the recording will be sent out, Chandler, to others, to in a day or so. I can't remember exactly what our timeline on that typically is, but it's usually within the next couple of days. A couple things to kind of just wrap up here. So thank you for like learning more about arcades. What's coming up next for Learning Lab Live is next month in March. We'll actually be following up my session last month on Lectora by building an interaction that the entire audience voted on, wanting me to build live. So that's what we're going to be doing next month. But coming up next week, you might have heard of another product of ours called Rehearsal. We've just launched or what we call role play into full access. So this a couple months ago, I did a Learning Lab Live around this when it was still in beta. Well, this is now the actual like full-fledged release of the tool. And so that's going to be an AI role play platform where you're going back and forth in a conversation with an AI. And so that webinar is going to be next week. So just like to plug that just because I'll be presenting on that one as well. And those registration links I think will be available to you on our website, if I remember correctly, or in the follow-up. I can't remember if we threw those in there too. So just kind of looking at that one there. And just kind of last couple things to wrap up. If you would like to engage with me at all outside of the webinar, feel free to, my email's there, my LinkedIn is there, so feel free to connect. Feel free to email me if there's questions. Again, be sure to come back next month to see more of Learning Lab Live. We actually have the next three, I think, kind of planned out, so you'll see information about those coming out here shortly. But if you want to see past recordings, that QR code on the screen will lead you to any of the past sessions that we've had over the last few months.